All right, I'm going to teach you how to use the self-monitoring remote control. So here's our remote control right here. We see we have the play button. This is fast forward, rewind, pause, and stop. So the play button is where we just keep reading. Even though we realize we don't understand what we're reading, we keep reading. So this is usually not a very good option. We only want to use this every once in a while. If we've tried all the other options and they're not working, then we can continue reading as long as it's not disrupting our understanding of the text as a whole. Then you might want to hit the play button. So I'm going to show you how you might want to use some of these other buttons that might be more effective. So if I have a page like this, and I'm reading, okay, so frogs live in many habitats. Wait, I don't know what this habitats? I don't know what that word means. So I'm going to hit maybe the fast forward button. That's where I read ahead and see if I can get any clues. So, okay, I don't know the word habitats. I'm going to read forward. Most frogs like to be wet. They live near ponds, swamps, and lakes. But some frogs live in the desert. They go underground to stay cool and wet. Okay, so now I know that the sentences underneath are talking about where frogs live. So I'm going to guess that this word habitats maybe means where they live. So that's an example of how we can use the fast forward button. All right, now let's practice using the reread button. So this is a really good one when you kind of are reading along and then you realize that your mind has been wandering and you haven't really been paying attention, or if you want to go back and look for more clues. So let's say I'm reading along. Frogs live in many habitats. Most frogs like to be wet. They live near ponds, swamps, and lakes. But some frogs live in the desert. They go underground to stay cool and wet. Something, wait a second. I don't remember what I was reading. I can't retell it in my own words. So I'm going to go back and reread. Okay, frogs live in many habitats, and so on and so forth. That's how you use the rewind button. The pause button is where you pause and you do something to try and understand what you were missing. So if I was reading this section and I think, I didn't really understand what that meant, I might pause and look at the picture and I see, oh, looks like he's in some water, but that guy's in some mud. So that tells me that on this page we're learning about maybe where they live, different environments. You also might pause and take apart some of the words that you don't know. So let's pretend like I'm reading and I say they go underground. I don't know that word. Well, I can take it apart. I can pause and take it apart. And I know that this word under is right there, and this word there is ground. Underground. I'm going to guess that means below the surface of the ground. I can also read these little captions to help me understand what I'm reading. If there were a word in bold that I didn't understand, I could look at the glossary. So there's lots of things I could do with the pause button. And then last and least is the stop button. So that is the most disruptive to your reading, and that's the one you want to do only the worst case scenario. So when you hit the stop button, you stop. There are a couple things you could do. You could stop and maybe look some words up in the dictionary if you don't understand them. You could stop and ask somebody for help. You could also decide that this book is too hard for you and stop reading the book and switch to another book. So again, that hitting that stop button is the worst case scenario. You should only do it if you've tried all the other buttons first.